Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, Miss Ida Lisdawati, and good afternoon, my friends. I'm Rizky Septian with student ID 2122 triple nil and 1. I'm student from class B1 regular English education study program batch 2021. Nowadays, on this occasion, I want to present you about the materials that we have learned before about discourse analysis. There are several materials that I will present to you as follows: discourse analysis definition, discourse analysis and grammar, and then discourse analysis and vocabulary, and then discourse analysis and phonology. Okay. On the first point is definition of discourse analysis. So it is the study of how language is used in communication, focusing on the structures, patterns, and meanings in spoken, written, or visual text. It examines language in its social, cultural, and situational context to uncover how people convey, interpret, and construct meaning. So there are key elements of discourse analysis that includes language in use, context, purpose, and power and ideology. And then spoken discourse. Spoken discourse refers to language used in spoken communication, such as conversations, interviews, speech, or any other form of verbal interactions. It focuses on the structures, patterns, and features of spoken language in real-life contexts, emphasizing how meaning is created and interpreted in oral exchange. Then, in many ways, speech is not so different from writing or written discourse. First, when people speak, they also produce different kinds of genres, and then use different kinds of social languages. And the third point, also promote particular version of reality or ideologies. Next is written discourse. Written discourse is language used in written communication, such as essays, reports, articles, letters, or any other form of text. It focuses on the structure, organization, and features of written language, highlighting how ideas are conveyed and interpreted in a textual format. With written text, some of the problems associated with spoken transcript absent. We do not have to contend with people all speaking at once. The writer has usually had time to think about what to say. The utterance of natural, spontaneous talk are not. And then about discourse analysis and grammar. There is a relationship between discourse analysis and grammar, which is in how language is structured and used to create meaning in context, while grammar focuses on the rules and structures of language at the sentence level. Discourse analysis examines how these grammatical structures function in larger units of communication, such as conversations, paragraphs, or entire text. And then, the discussing about references. First point is anaphoric. Anaphoric reference occurs when a word or phrase refers to something mentioned earlier in the discourse. For example, in this sentence, Michael went to the bank. He was annoyed because it was closed. The word he refers to Michael, and then the word it refers to the bank. And the second point is cataphoric. Cataphoric reference occurs when a word or phrase refers to something mentioned later in the discourse. For the example, although I pawn her every week, My mother still complains that I don't keep in touch often enough. Word her refers to my mother. And then exoporic. Exoporic reference occurs when a word or phrase refers to something outside the discourse. For the example, in the sentences, they're late again. Can you believe it? I know. Well, they'd better get here soon or it get cold. The word they refers to some people outside the discourse known to both speakers, and the word it also refers to something that both speakers know about. The next discuss about them and rhyme. Them and rhyme are key concepts in discourse analysis, particularly in systemic functional linguistics or SFL, developed by Michael Halliday. They describe how information is organized within a clause to create meaning and maintain coherence in discourse. So what is the meaning of them? The first point, them, is starting point of clause or sentence. The second point, them represents what the sentence is about or the given information. Typically placed at the beginning of the clause. It sets the context for what follows. For the examples in the sentence, the weather is beautiful today. The word or the sentence, the weather, is the them. And then rhyme, the part of the clause that provides new information about the them. It represents what is being said about the them or the new information. Example, in the same sentence, the weather is beautiful today. Is beautiful today is the rhyme. Next is about discourse analysis and vocabulary. In this part, there is an insight that name about lexical cohesion. So what is the meaning of lexical cohesion? Lexical cohesion refers to the way words and phrases are used to create connections and unity in a text or discourse. It focuses on the relationships between lexical items or words to ensure that the text flows logically and feels connected, even when grammatical cohesion is not explicitly present. The relations between vocabulary items in text described by the Halliday-Hasan 1976 model are of two principal kinds: reiterations and collocation. So, what is the meaning of reiteration? Reiteration involves the repetition of restarting of words or related terms to reinforce a concept or idea. It ensures clarity and emphasizes key points in a text. There are several forms of reiteration: repetition, synonymy, and antonymy. For the example of repetition, the dog barked loudly. The dog seemed restless. In the synonymy, for the example, the movie was fantastic. It was a truly remarkable film. And the antonymy, for the example, the day started brightly, but the evening was gloomy. After reiteration, we know about the next terminology that's named as collocation. A collocation is two or more words that often go together. These combinations just sound right to native English speakers, who use them all the time. On the other hand, other combinations may be unnatural and just sound wrong. There are several features of collocation: the typical pairings, words that are commonly used together. For the example, make a decision, not do a decision. Fast food, not quick food. This is collocation. There are some of categories of collocation like adjective plus noun, verb plus noun plus noun, verb and adverb, also adverb and adjective, and the example like this. And then modality theory. In modality theory, modality is basically how certain you are about something. It can be defined as the way to express how certain, probable, or likely something is. Modality can go from being uncertain to very certain or high modality. They indicate the degree to which an observation is possible. Probable, likely, certain, permitted, or prohibited. There are a value or level of modality: low, high, medium, and low. High modality words can be used when trying to persuade or convince another person or reader by eliminating uncertainty. For example, on the word "thou shall not pass" as opposed to "thou should not pass," or "I would do anything for love," of I might do something for love. Medium modality is when something is possible, probable, or likely. For the example, it probably be a goal if he passes him. And then low modality. Low modality words are less decisive and can be used to create a sense of uncertainty. For the example, they might forgotten or they might don't think about it. Then, lexis in talk. Lexis in talk refers to the choice and use of words or vocabulary in spoken communication. It focuses on how lexical items are employed in conversation to convey meaning, maintain coherence, and achieve communicative purposes. Then discourse analysis and phonology. At first, about pronunciation. Pennington and Richards argue that pronunciation is important as an aspect of discourse-oriented language teaching and that the three areas or components should be addressed: segmental features, voice setting features, and prosodic features. Pronunciation is the way words are spoken or articulated. It involves the production of sounds, including the correct use of vowels, consonants, stress, rhythm, and intonation, to convey meaning effectively and be understood by others. And then rhythm. Rhythm is when we listen to a stretch of spoken English discourse, we often feel that there is a rhythm or regularity to it, which is a characteristic sound, different from other language and not always well limited by foreign learners. It is pattern of stress and unstressed syllables in speech, giving it natural flow. Next is word stress. Word stress refers to emphasis placed on one syllable within a word. The stressed syllable is pronounced more strongly or noticeably than the others in terms of loudness, pitch, and durations. There are three characteristics of word stress: louder, longer, and higher pitch. The last is prominence. Prominence refers to how certain words or syllables stand out within a sentence or utterance, often to convey emphasis, meaning, or focus. It goes beyond individual words to consider their role in larger speech units. So thank you. That's all of from me. Thank you to Miss Idalis Dawati. Sorry if there are many mistaken in this presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.